Hi, I'm Garmreek1, and this is Midgardia's cool crowdfunding show. I'm here today with Metatabi. How's it going?
Hi, it's going great. Thanks for having me, as always. It's
Yeah,
always a
glad
pleasure to talk with you.
glad to have you back for sure. So today you're here to tell us about Sparkle Stars, so why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So, Sparkle Stars is our third
Nice.
tabletop RPG project. And so, early on in Silvervine Publishing, we knew that one of the genres that we wanted to get RPG in, if we could find it, is Magical Girl, because it's a very core anime genre, and it's one that I think there's been a lot of attempts at kind of capturing that essence. And there's a lot of different RPGs that have different aspects of it, but we wanted to find one that was very uniquely Japanese based and coming out of kind of that background. And not only did we find one that fit that, but it was made by two of the two very big names in the Japanese tabletop scene. So we were over the moon. It fit perfectly with what we wanted. And even better, it came with a supplement that covered doing like Super Sentai, Power Rangers kind of stuff. So we're like, hey, let's put them together and we will have a Magical Girl and Super Sentai Common Rider kind of mix game. And we were super excited when we found it. The creators were amazingly friendly and super stoked for the idea. So, yeah, this has been kind of in the planning phases since the beginning of Silvervine.
Right on.
Yeah,
And yeah, the two genres are not that much different, like having watched a lot of both.
yeah. And the interesting thing here is that the Sparkle Stars was originally created as a fan game for Precure, specifically Heartcatch Precure. Which, if if you look at the comments on the Kickstarter, you'll see that some people have already pointed out, like, hey, looking at the art, it's clear that there was some inspiration there. But if you study Precure at all, you know that the pipeline from Common Rider and Power Rangers to Precure is, I mean, it's a straight line. Like they trade people back and forth constantly. Basically, anybody that's directed a Common Rider has probably also directed a Precure. So there's a ton of that coming together. And I think that that is why this blending of genres works so well in a single system, because it's just close enough that you can kind of swap out the character creation, swap out some of the terms and stuff, and still have it work with the same structure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there are very few giant robots in Magical Girl shows, but it does happen. So
Yeah, every once in a while.
yeah, good old Magic Knight Ray Earth.
Yes.
I need to finish that one of these days. Um,
Yeah. Oh, I was super excited when that got into Super Robot Wars, but that's.
uh,
But I will say that if you want to do a magical girl that has a giant robot, there are rules for that in Sparkle Stars. And actually, that's something that I did on the Kickstarter. Is I did a little update talking about how the main genres it's focused on are Monster of the Week, Magical Girl, and the Tokusatsu, Power Rangers, Kamen Rider kind of stuff. But because of the way the mechanics work, it is very easy to refluff into just about anything you could want, especially like Saturday morning cartoons. So you got your golden age capes and cowls superhero stuff. You could do a Care Bears spin a ripoff. You could do a Magical Thief, all that kind of stuff. Very very easy to refluff because the focus of Sparkle Stars is not trying to gamify being a magical girl and fighting monsters. What instead it's doing is you are creating your dream show. You are starring in and also controlling the narrative of your very own magical girl or Power Rangers or whatever show that you want to make. And so, if you're familiar with the video game Chroma Squad, very very similar, where it's less about beating the monsters, that's pretty much a given, and it's more about making sure that you're giving the your viewers what they want. So at the beginning of each session, which is called an episode in this game, you're given a quota of this is how many scenes that are, action packed scenes or dramatic scenes. You get those, and then as long as you hit those marks, you can do whatever you want with the rest of it. And so it's very open ended, very rules light on the foundational level. But then you can add stuff in to make it more crunchy, to make it more meta as you go along. It's very flexible, and I think it'll fit anything from parents that want to play a fun RPG with their kids all the way up to people that want a really crazy party game like Paranoia.
Yeah, speaking of the meta aspects,
Hmm?
I did notice the controversy and censorship
Hmm.
mechanics in there, and I
Yes.
gotta say I love it.
I will say the table that has the censorship guidelines, one of my favorite tables I have ever translated. um, and it was fun. So I actually talked with the creators, and what they wanted is they wanted to make this something that would be very familiar with Western fans that watch these kind of shows. And so what I really went for is there's a new column that I actually added in or changed from the Japanese that was the Westernization, where it's, when you get the Pokemon episode where they obviously have onigiri, but they're like jelly donuts. So there's rules where your sponsors will say, okay, you can't swear. You have to mention that it's in America. You have to make sure that you don't commit any crimes, that kind of stuff. And you have this kind of levels that you can set that make it harder for your players to tell this story without stepping on some controversies. And so that's an optional rule, and that's what the game is full of, is all these great optional rules where you can make it more and more restrictive so that your players have to get more and more creative to try and tell this story without running into all these walls. And that's where it kind of gets into that paranoia, like, I don't think we can say that. We're not supposed to be able to say that. My character's going to be gone next episode because I keep swearing.
I'm a sucker for that kind of thing, as somebody who grew up in the '90s and early 2000s and watched a lot of
Yeah.
Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, just
Yeah.
airbrush the guns out, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is in there. There's a mechanic where, or I mean, at some levels, you have to like do a PSA, like the Sailor Moon says kind of thing, or at the end of the Power Rangers episode, they'd always do a moral lesson. So there's things like that. There's, your sponsors can get their hands into it and be like, oh, my son wants to be in your show, so you have to do a whole special episode about this random character, or you have to show off our new product, you have to do these commercials and stuff. So it can go all, you can take it wherever you want to go. You can sit down with your kids and be like, we're just going to have this fun little game where we beat up some monsters and we play some cards. Or you can take it all the way up to, okay, we got to plan things out and figure out how we're working all these sponsorship things in. So I really love the flexibility of it, where it's such a simple system, but it can really fit the needs of any group that's looking at any of those levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you and I love the censorship and like super meta mechanics, but you can just go beat the heck out of some monsters. It's
Yeah,
fine.
absolutely. And it also, not just as far as the levels of meta and crunch and stuff, but there's also rules for if you have friends that can only show up once in a while. It's actually very good about drop in, drop out players. You can do condensed things where it's like, well, I want to tell a whole season of an anime, but we're not doing 26 sessions. You can do it so you can shorten down the story and hit the climax faster. You can also do there's solo play if you want to turn it into a journaling game. It's seriously, I'm amazed. It's like 70 pages, and yet it manages to cover this super broad target range without watering down at all.
And it also manages to provide some example settings, both in the like meta sense with the tyrannical dictatorship, if I recall,
Yes.
and I think standard settings as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It provides lots of random tables. Everybody, if you're into Japanese games, they love their random tables. And so if you, I guess we never actually talked about it, but this game uses playing cards. So you're drawing playing cards to learn these different things. But everything from character creation to if you need a random NPC, you want to set up who your sponsor is, you want to come up with some kind of crossover episode, or you want to figure out what the plot of an episode is going to be. There's random tables for all of that stuff. So if you're worried about what to do next, all you got to do is draw some cards, and there's tables that will walk you through making your own episode with just the tables.
Right on. And yeah, if I recall, the different suits of cards determine what you can use to solve problems. Is that correct?
Yes. So, and I'm gonna I'm gonna have to look it up just to make absolutely sure I don't get any of these wrong. But the heart is represents your heart. It's like your character's catchphrase or emotional scenes. The spade is body, physical stuff. That's your, as we like to say in the Precure fandom, the magical fisticuffs. If you just want to beat something up. Three clubs is the bonds. That's your friends. If you want, an NPC, you can call in an NPC that comes and helps you out, or you remember something that some secret technique your grandfather taught you. And finally, diamond is kind of the special. We call it charm. So it both represents your magical powers, your special items, but it's also kind of this meta representation of how popular your character is, because the way it's structured is if your character is more popular, they get better powers. Like your sponsor is gonna give the new toys to your character because you're more popular. And so the diamond kind of represents that your character is magically powerful and has a lot of cool gadgets.
Right. So you get the cool new tiara or the battleizer armor or what have you.
Yep, exactly. And that's it's I love how much as soon as you look at these things, it starts bringing back those memories of like, oh yeah, like I used to go out and see all the new Power Rangers toys when they came out and stuff. And so it's it's so rooted in those real experiences that we've all shared. And it's kind of cool that it's coming over from Japan, and yet reading through it, we immediately recognize these. Yes, this is how it is. This is how these kids shows are, or these shows for it doesn't have to be a kids show. There's a lot of adult shows that use the same kind of episode structure and stuff. I was just thinking you could probably do an episode of Law and Order SVU with this system. You might want to change some of the you want to change some of the fluff, but at the end of the day, you're still performing and you're doing a two beat half and half structure of a plot. So it can all fit in there.
Under the law, crimes against magical girls are considered especially heinous.
Absolutely.
And there's like this is just jam packed. Like there is some art in here. This is mostly text in the best way possible, and I appreciate that. Like you've got rules for the giant crossover movies that Precure does and stuff like that. Like
Yes.
it's good stuff.
Yeah, and the it has the so this is something that is a little bit esoteric for Western audiences if they're not really familiar with the Precure fandom. But when you go to a Precure movie, you're given a glow stick, and there will always be a part of the movie where everybody's supposed to wave their glow stick to kind of cheer on the characters. And so there's a mechanic for that where there's supposed to be a scene where you call on the audience to cheer for you. And um, this is something that has not happened in American movies in quite a while, but I will say there is one example that I immediately think of, which is the second Care Bears movie. There's a part where the Care Bears turn to the screen and say, "If everybody everywhere says I care, then we can break this spell." And so it's kind of that thing where you can reach out and gather your invisible audience's powers to beat the bad guy. And I just love how they translated all of that into mechanics.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of love for the medium here. I think Kamen Rider does that in some of the movies too, where they're just like everybody Kamen Rider has ever helped is coming together. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, the you can really feel their love for the genre and stuff. And we've been having a great time in the Silvervine Discord. We've been partying and posting all our favorite tokusatsu and magical girl clips and theme songs and stuff like that. So we're all very, very excited. I know a lot of people are. I'm hoping that this really gets out to a lot of people because I know that there's a ton of fans of these kind of shows out there.
Oh, absolutely. I know a lot of our audience is into this kind of thing, because you can only talk to me for about 20 minutes. If you're not, uh, I've been watching Power Rangers RPM recently, and it is
Oh, nice.
gloriously absurd. It's like
Yeah,
weirdly dark.
I started the I'm mostly I've been binging Precure a lot, but between that I've been working on old Super Sentai. So I started from oh man, I'm gonna forget the G Ranger, which was the what became Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in America. And so I've been working my way from there, and then I've watched a few of the Heisei Common Riders. So I really love. I'm kind of more in tune with the Japanese side of the that kind of stuff. But I'm I was a kid when the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers came on, so I was this all resonates very well with me, and it's kind of ripped from the headlines right now. I know that they're actually auctioning off a lot of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers equipment and costumes and sets and stuff right now. So it kind of, it's coming in at the end of an era.
Yeah, yeah. I watched Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, many times. It was no Star Wars, but it was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when the original Power Rangers movie came out, and that was such a big thing to have Power Rangers on the big screen. That was and it was all original. It was something America did on our own. So that was so cool. And we did our original like villains and stuff.
Yeah, that was Ivan Ooze, right?
Yes. And then in the later seasons of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Lord Zed, he never existed in the Japanese version, so that was completely original. So that's the kind of thing that I would be really excited if somebody was playing Sparkle Stars and they didn't just make their show, but they also came up with this weird lore about how it's taking segments from a Japanese show that's completely different and like I think that would be really fun to just work in as fluff, like because that's such a the differences between the American and Japanese versions of the live action shows is such a big part of that fandom.
Yeah, it's fun to spot like when they're suddenly using stock footage from the Japanese version,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like in RPM, they get the Go Onger van, from
Yep.
Go Onger, which I'm probably again mispronouncing. Um,
Oh no,
yeah,
that's
um, and like it's just such a weird thing because you can tell when they switch to Japanese footage for the road trip because it's suddenly shot on film instead of video. I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, and there's an incomprehensible Scottish guy, and I love him dearly. Can't
Yeah.
understand half
And
of the things he says. Sorry.
and I also think, I think that a lot of people have old nostalgia for a lot of these series, but I also think that lately, especially Precure is really expanding. Crunchyroll has started not they had been doing just the newest seasons, but they've actually started picking up some past ones to fill out the whole thing. And I think it was 2 or 3 years back there was kind of a big thing on Reddit where they did their anime of the year thing, and it ended up being Hugto Precure. And everybody was like, "Are you like Demon Slayer came out this year, and you're saying that this weird magical girl show about a baby is better?" And people were like, "Yeah, like genuinely, people had never watched Precure before, watched it, and were like, yes, it's that good." And so I hope that this not only brings up that nostalgia for the old days of Sailor Moon, Saint Tail, Power Rangers, Beetleborgs,
Yeah.
and but also helps kind of connect with the new generation of people that are really into Precure, both as children and adults. It's very popular. It's a very good it's a very good, wholesome, fun time. I usually watch it on my work from home days. I'll turn it on in the background while I'm doing my work, and I have enjoyed it pretty much every season I've watched. So, not a mystery to me why they picked Precure as kind of the basis for this system.
Yeah, I think I've only seen one season of Precure, and it was the first one, obviously. And
Yeah,
there's some good fight scenes in there, man.
yeah, yeah. And it gets better from there. And I mean, if you watch some of the new ones, they put a lot of stuff into it, and then the movies are just, I mean, they put everything they got into those movies. Like they are absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I'll have to check them out sometime. Uh,
Yeah.
so what scale of gameplay in terms of like campaign length is Sparkle Stars aimed at? Because I know Japanese TTRPGs tend to be very like single session focused. Is that the case here?
Oh, that's actually a great question. And one of the big charm points on Sparkle Stars is that it is intended for campaign play because you're trying to make a season of a show. And so you have a ratings meter that each episode, depending on whether you meet those quotas or not, your ratings are going to go up and down. Your characters do grow and develop, as does the difficulty. The GM gains levels basically. And so the numbers do steadily climb and it gets harder and harder to hit those ratings. And so the intention is that you would either aim for a 13 episode or a 26 episode series. But the basic is going to be that 13 episodes. So it's actually kind of rare from, like you said, most Japanese games are mainly focused on single session play. Sparkle Stars is one of the first I've come across that is very heavily focused on wanting you to play for a while and giving you a lot of tools so that you can, it has those drop in mechanics, has the kind of shortened campaign mechanics so that you can have that full campaign experience. And so I think that's really cool. And I think that's one of the things that will make it latch on a little bit better in the West than some of the other Japanese games.
Right, absolutely. The campaign game style is much more popular over here.
Yeah.
The art is so cute throughout this.
Yeah, and Sasaki Ryo, the artist, she has a very distinctive style, and her style was, if you went back to the 80s and looked at a lot of the RPG magazines and stuff like that, her art was very popular at that time, and that kind of chibi, super deformed art style was all over some of the the less serious kind of things like that. So it's a very distinctive style, and it's very nostalgic. I think if you start getting into kind of the older role playing games, you'll kind of see that it's I don't want to say older, but it's a more like it's been there. It's kind of fundamental in that scene, and I think is really cool. Most Japanese manga artists that you think of, they immediately aim for like Shonen Jump, Ribbon, the big like magazines. But Sasaki Sensei, she actually wanted to go right into drawing for video games, and so she got her first manga published um, was publishing parody comics for Nintendo. They would do a collection of kind of gag comics based on the different Nintendo games that were coming out. And that's where she got her start. And I just think that's so cool that her art has always been dedicated to gaming.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. Uh, and in a lot of older shows, you'll see them suddenly transform into that like chibi
Yeah.
style for one
Yep.
one shot.
Yeah. And like people have pointed out, it's also very reminiscent of the style of Heartcatch Precure, which was the game that this was, or the Precure season that this was most focused on. And so there's kind of a reference to that too.
Right, absolutely. So I know Silvervine always has the next thing in the pipeline is already loaded into the chamber to mix two metaphors together poorly. So can you give me a sneak preview of what you've got coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, we're actually super excited for our next project. So one of the things we were kind of worried going into Silvervine that we'd flood the market if, or, be a little bit, it'd get a little bit samey if all we were doing is putting out RPG, 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 one right after another. So we did mix it up a little bit with a card game last time. And this next one, we are going to publish an indie manga.
Oh,
We have made some contracts with an indie artist that has been doing a solo manga that is absolutely amazing. Great story, great characters, and just I don't know how a single person is pulling out art like this. Like it looks really great. We're super excited about that. This will be a challenge. We're going to probably look for a new place to publish it, new place to print it. So a lot of things are going to be changing up. Probably we'll be hosting it other places than because Drive-Thru RPG has been great to us. They're great for RPGs. I know they do have Drive-Thru Comics, but we just kind of want to branch out a little bit, maybe get onto like Itch.io, maybe find some other places to publish. But we're just super excited. And this will kind of be our gauge for like, is this something that we can do? I have been talking with other manga artists. If this project goes well, I think there's other ones that could be coming down. So this will be kind of a landmark for us where we're going to be branching out. And I hope that it does well.
yeah, that sounds really cool. You should use Drive-Thru Comics for the mirrored English release version, meant for
Yeah, there you go.
normies. Yeah. I think I have some issues of the Shocking Tale of Pikachu downstairs that were published that way. Like,
Nice.
yeah, blown up to the English comic size and mirrored and censored, all that fun
Uh,
stuff.
Yeah. Well, the great thing, most people that are translating manga, it's, they're getting it from a publisher. I don't think any of them ever get to talk with the person, but I just love being able to work directly with the creators and being able to say, like, hey, what does this character's name mean? Like, what were you going for here? And being able to chat with them and say, oh, do you think this English would work good for that? And they'd be like, yeah. So it's been a blast working with this artist. I think that they're an amazing person that can tell some amazing stories. And I cannot wait to introduce everybody to the world they've created.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to talking to you about that too.
Absolutely.
I don't know if viewers can see because of the nameplate, but I'm petting a cat here. My cat's just, or my hand's not just floating around. Say
No,
hello to
yeah.
everybody.
Whew, that is a fluffy cat.
Yeah, she gets brushed every day, I swear. And
Yeah.
yet she looks perpetually
Oh,
scruffy.
oh, I know how it is. We have a very fluffy dog, and yeah, she
Yeah.
gets she looks like a little walking mop most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Sparkle Stars. It looks like a wonderful game for creating your either magical girl or tokusatsu like fake series.
Yeah, yep. And I would love to maybe write up some mini supplements, just or maybe just a few pages, even just talking about how to refluff it into different shows. Like, um, I've always this. I don't know how weird this is going to sound, but I've always wanted to do a Care Bears game. So I think that this is a great system that could work perfectly for that too. Or the Magical Thief, like Saint Tail kind of stuff. So or the Capes and Cows Golden Age superhero show or something like that. I think it would be pretty easy to just write up some random tables so that people would be able to do that as well. So it's a great system for specifically what it's for, but it's also a great system for getting creative with all kinds of different shows.
Personally, I want to see some rolling tables for Sparks and Order or Lawn Sparkles. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, I think that just about wraps up everything. This is currently on Kickstarter for the next about 10 days when the video goes up. You can get it for as little as
Nine
nine
bucks
nine
for the
bucks,
PDF. Yep.
$9 American.
Yeah.
It's like
In America.
every country in the world belongs to America. God, I love Bandit Keith.
Yeah.
Bandit Keith is not guaranteed to be in this product, but
But if you set the westernization content to the very strictest, you do have to mention the country you're in and show landmarks in every scene.
Boy, I sure do love eating jelly-filled donuts here in New York City. All right.
I think people are going to have a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. Have a good night, everybody, from us here in America.
Yes, and please help us out with Sparkle Stars, and I hope everybody enjoys it.
I know I will. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Hi, I'm Garmbrick One. As a lot of you know, I live in Alberta, which is on fire again. It is not as bad as last year. I'm safe. I am well away from anything that is actively on fire. Uh, but the town of Jasper, which is a historic tourist site and beloved travel destination for many Albertans, about 30% of it was destroyed by a wildfire a couple of weeks ago. Uh, and all the entire town's population had to evacuate into BC, which is also on fire, of course. Uh, so there's a link below in the comments to the Red Cross's 2024 Alberta Wildfires Appeal. If you would like to donate to the relief efforts, you can donate there. Donations will be matched by the government of Alberta and the government of Canada. So, yeah, if you're feeling charitable, want to help out some Albertans who are having a hard time, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody.